Welcome to episode 71 of the Champagne Comedy Podcast, where we talk about the best Australian comedy show from the 90s ever made, Frontline, and other D-Generation comedy tidbits. My name is Matt, and joining this podcast today is Alison, Daniel, Kim, and Tony.
Hi. Hey, everyone.
I was about to say Prue just for old time's sakes, but she's only appeared once this season. How are we all?
I'm surviving here in the land of the gather round. All the AFL world is in town this weekend. Personally, I don't give a stuff about sport, but I know that all of this football malarkey is good for the economy.
I was going to say, is that a sports thing? Because, now that I don't even have to pay the slightest attention to AFL, it is completely going over my head.
No, well, with me, it's just been the fact that nobody can stop talking about it. It's like the circus is coming to town.
Because this is such in-depth coverage of the footy podcast. You're listening to the wrong one, but here we go. Let's get into... And not really much for me to report on other than the campaign and pictures of you and all that are on the Working Dog On Demand site. So especially at the time when we're recording this is about a month out of the election, or not even a month out, but just a few weeks out from the federal election. And if you...
Yeah, very, very good timing for them to put the campaign
Yes.
up.
So this is a documentary that Santo Chilaro filmed, or it was his baby, it was his idea. And if you haven't seen it at all, it is basically him following or documenting Paul Keating or the Labor Party, as well as any add-ons or contributions to the Liberal Party as well for the 1996 election when it was Keating versus Howard. So it's a nice time capsule. And it was done in 1996, so that was that little gap in between Frontline Season 2 and 3. So you had Funky Squad, and then you also had the campaign. So they were quite busy.
Yeah, I guess we'll do an episode about that at some point, maybe.
Yes, we will. Well, now that it's on Working Dog On Demand, I bought it on iTunes a while ago, and now I think it has disappeared from iTunes. So everything's slowly migrating over to Working Dog On Demand.
Just something that happened on one of the, actually the only commercial talkback radio station in Adelaide. Because Eddie Maguire was in Adelaide for the AFL Festival of Footy known as Gather Round. He stopped in to speak with 5AA Breakfast hosts Will Goodings and David Penberthy.
Eddie Maguire is in the 5AA Breakfast studio with us. You were just telling us a bit of a story that we're going to start not with Gather Round, but it's too good a story not to miss for our audience to miss out on. Your car featured in The Castle, one of the most beloved movies in Australian film history.
So I believe I had a cameo role.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jane Kennedy and Rob Sitch are very close friends of mine. In fact, I used to work with them on the D-Generation. That was when I first started on radio back in Melbourne. Back in the days, as they say, about 1987, I reckon it was. Anyway, I get a phone call when the footy show had kicked off, and so Nine had given me a new car, the BMW convertible, the new black model and all this. Anyway, Jane rings up one day and says, "Can we borrow your car?" I said, "What do you want my car for?" She said, "Oh, we're just shooting a movie." I said, "Well, we had dinner last week. You didn't mention anything about a movie." No, we're just doing it. It's going to take 9 days. And, oh, yeah, no worries. Anyway, it became The Castle. So when Dennis Denuto, the lawyer, finally gets the vibe and wins the court case, and he gets his new car, and it pulls up, and it's mine.
It's your car.
And they shot it in Fitzroy, and it came back, and somebody had taken the stickers off, the BMW stickers off the wheels. So, it had the very
Did you get a mention in the credits?
No. I should have got car wrangle or something, David. So that's where it all started back in those days, and haven't they been fantastic? Working Dogs still
yeah,
shows on Channel 10.
Well, I can remember I was at uni when the D-Gen started. And
the Late Show and all
the
that.
Late Show. And, you know, Graham and the Colonel and Pissweek World. Like, it was just so funny.
Yeah. They were just great. So I was
you
lucky
wouldn't get away with a bit of it now.
No, I know. So, well, you don't get away with anything. Imagine the footy show. It'd be off here in about 10 seconds these days. But, we went for 25 years. It lasts about 5 minutes now.
I'm not touching that one.
Oh, you can't do anything these days. Oh, you can't do anything these days.
Oh,
God, these
footy.
people
Who wants
shit
to
me.
watch a show about footy? Oh, no.
Although, mind you, that's what Eddie Maguire was in Adelaide for. They did like a one-off footy show in the Barossa. In fact, I've got a small clip from it because Adelaide Crows Isaac Rankin performed a Maroon 5 track, and yes, it just happens to be that Maroon 5 track. If we could hear a bit of it now.
Talent, nil. Presentation, nil. Potential, totally nil. But a sum total of 10 for generosity. Thank you, Bill.
Nice.
That final bit wasn't in the show, right?
No, but it's too good not to include. I know that he was talking about Razia, but yeah, couldn't help but drop it in. Maybe Isaac's performance with the guitar is why the Crows lost by 19 points to Geelong the next night.
No.
No touching that.
No, not touching that one. Oh.
Oh, you can't say that.
So I think the tale about Eddie Maguire's Beamer has been talked about before, but I don't know in what kind of conversation it was brought up off air, but as Will Gooding said, too good not to put on air.
Yeah.
And it does bring up a bit of a question for me, which I'm going to ask all of you. Who had more screen time, Tony Martin playing Adam Hamill or Eddie Maguire's BMW?
Eddie Maguire's BMW.
So, Alison, you're going for the Beamer. Tony, you're going for the Beamer.
Yeah, I'll go for that.
A much less memorable performance, but more screen time.
Because like Tony Martin's on for like 2 seconds or something. It's really quite short.
Yeah, and it's in, he's right in. It's basically just there so a whole bunch of nerds can go, that's Tony Martin.
Well, when I saw it at the cinema, everyone cheered when they saw him. So, of course.
So
unless he's pulling a Where's Wally moment and he's actually in all these background scenes we haven't actually noticed.
Yeah, just everyone stand up in the cinema and just go, found you.
Okay, so I mean, I don't want to sway you one way or the other, but everybody's saying BMW?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I went and got my remastered and replastered DVD edition of The Castle and ripped it and loaded it up in some editing software.
So you got Hugh to extract it for you?
Well, I mean, basically, I just thankfully they're both in shots that are quite close together up the back of the movie. So Tony's in 4 shots, totaling 310 frames, which works out to 12.92 seconds.
Ooh.
Now, the thing is, the entire shot of Dennis Denuto getting out of Eddie's car and walking into his new office, that's longer at 357 frames, 14.875 seconds. But Eddie's BMW is only in 189 of those frames, or 7.875 seconds. So Tony is in the castle more than Eddie's BMW by 5.04 seconds.
Ooh.
That is the nerdiest bit of maths I've ever heard. And I love it. Well done, Daniel. You really put the effort in there.
Yay. 5.04 as well.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Brilliant.
Wow, okay. You win.
Cool.
Tony wins.
Yep.
And plus also Tony's credited, whereas Tony even gets a thank you in that part of the credits as well. Whereas there's no mention of Eddie in the thank you.
Well, he doesn't even get thanked in the credits of the film.
There's a lot of people. Kmart gets thanked.
Okay.
I don't think you could buy a Beamer at Kmart at the time, or even now probably.
No.
Well, you could get one of those like plastic ones that kids can ride around in, maybe. But yeah.
Oh, look, you'd have to think by the time they were filming The Castle, Eddie Maguire was already, at a point where the money is the thank you as far as the media is concerned.
You want something controversial, right?
I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Okay. From you, Matt, this is going to be bad.
Well, this is in regards to a movie and by Ed Cavalier, and I'm unofficially attached to it. If you've got a copy of Border Protection Squad, which is on iTunes, right? Well, you can't get it anymore. But there is a moment where there is a voicemail message as a plane is kind of landing in a scene. And I actually had to edit that. When I had worked with Ed back in the Triple M days, and he came in and he had this soundbite thing, and then he also wanted to record that phone message, right? And then so he came in, did the thing, because I was his audio producer at the time, and he goes, "Oh, can you just do this, put this filter on it," and so forth. So I put it all together and then sent him a copy. It goes for about 12 seconds or something like that. And I go, "Oh, what's it for?" He goes, "Oh, just a project that I'm working on." I'm like, okay, cool. And then when I ended up getting, when Border Protection Squad came out, and then I'm watching it, and then I hear that audio part during that scene, I'm going, "Hey, I did that." So I produced that, and I didn't get a credit. So I should have joined an actors, or what is it, the Actors Guild?
Yeah, and that was for 12 seconds.
The MEEA, what was the union you joined, Kim?
Oh, yeah.
Does
yes,
that cover
the MEEA, yeah, it would.
Well, I was going to say, you can go onto IMDb and just edit the credits yourself and drop your name in.
Hey, we should all add our names to IMDb, because the Champagne Comedy Podcast, I have no idea who did it, and I've mentioned this before, but our podcast name is on IMDb.
It's listed,
yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. What a waste of internet space that is.
I mean, thanks, but why did you bother?
Don't say that too loud. I don't want that to become our new slogan.
What a waste of internet
thanks,
space.
But why did you bother?
No, a waste of internet space.
Oh, okay.
That's the subtitle.
I mean, both work.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, speaking of more space, let's take up as much space as possible for everyone. All right. Well, I think it is time for...
It's all in this week's TV Week, packed with great family entertainment.
Oh, Jesus!
Daniel G, program guide, bring it.
All right. So there's a heck of a lot on the letters front. But there's also, we get a capsule review of the latest Frontline video release, which has the One Big Family episode and 3 others. Laurie Zion gives it 5 stars, but of course he would, because he did write that foreword in the Frontline script book.
So are you saying that there's no bias at all, or no conflict of interest?
Laurie was mates with them as well.
Yeah. Since their uni days, yeah.
Well, certainly there's no declaration of interest here. He writes that this generous instalment of 4 of last year's episodes will provide much-needed solace for anyone still mourning Yarn Event's departure from Witness. It's also a timely reminder of the current series. The title episode features the best promo in Australian television history, but for even more caustic bite, check out the debate, in quotation marks, in Divide the Community, Multiply the Ratings. So, there's a lot of letters which got published basically piling on to the Frontline Isn't Funny debate, including 3 that were in the Sydney Morning Herald Guide. But I'll just read the one which was published in the Melbourne Age Green Guide.
Well, sorry, before you go on with that, Daniel, were there any of them that just happened to be like, say, a Warnicky or a Fidgeon or an Oliver?
No, this is from a Keane. Colleen Keane of North
Keane.
So she writes, there seems to be a few problems around different definitions of humour coming out in letters at present. Poor Frontline is getting canned for not being funny enough, but it never set out to be a screaming comedy. Satire is a very different comic form, especially when it's dealing with themes like the rank cynicism of the media in political issues, which was explored so well in last week's episode featuring Pauline Hanson and Noel Pearson. If Anthony Bray, who wrote last week, wants more straightforward humour, he should stick to Larry Sanders. Or if he wants a combination of satire and sheer fun, he should perhaps give the brilliant Good News Week a go. The fact remains that Australian humour is often quite different from American humour.
Okay, leaving aside the Good News Week bit, because I mean, I could talk for ages about why Good News Week was awful.
I better remove the knife from my back.
Right in the beginning, though.
Was it? Okay. Don't get
into
this
together for a best of video.
I'm a hardcore Good News Week fan, so it's yeah, and
good on you.
Thank you.
I will admit it did start to get really wobbly when it went to Channel 10 and then spun off into Good News World. Sammy, Jay, and Randy, notwithstanding, personally.
Yeah, well, that's if you have been to some recordings of Good News Week, you will know that the best stuff never made it to air. And that was
that the most libelous stuff?
Yeah.
Well, And plus, not to mention the guys going, "Oh, look, if you want, crappy comedy, watch Larry Sanders," which I'm going to take offence at because Larry Sanders is a very good show on pretty much every level. So to kind of try and use that as a backhanded dismissal is not a indicator.
They are totally different shows, in my opinion, though. Frontline and Larry Sanders.
The only thing that's similar is you can say they have two different, they have video and film, and the television stuff is shot on film and the backstage stuff is shot on video. And apart from that sort of very superficial comparison, they are two very different shows.
Well, they can always re-watch their 2 episodes of the Comedy Sale on VHS just to wear that tape out after 4 years.
If they've got that, lend it to me. I'd like to see that again.
Yeah, when are we doing an episode on the Comedy Sale?
Yeah, come on.
It's going to be way down the list after Pictures of You.
Oh, but don't get me started on Let Loose.
3 episodes of Let Loose Live. Yes.
2 episodes.
Actually, I was
there are 3
Let
out
Loose
there.
Live.
No, the third one never happened. The third one never happened.
Sorry, I'm thinking of Live from Planet Earth, hosted by Ben.
Yes.
There were 3 episodes of that.
Yes.
Well, see, I mean, it's kind of timely talking about Let Loose Live because there's been news
the UK
a couple of days ago that there's going to be a UK version of Saturday Night Live in 2026.
Okay, I have so many opinions on that piece of news. I don't want to derail the podcast with them.
Ditto.
Special episode.
Yeah. What?
Do a special episode.
What, where I just rant on about,
Good News Week, Saturday Night
Where you talk about Saturday Live and Friday Night Live.
Yeah, well, I was going to talk about Saturday. I'm not going to talk about it, though, because we're moving on.
We'll squeeze into Wednesday Night Fever as well, just for the hell of it.
No. There were like 12 episodes of that, and bloody hell did that drag. Anyway,
we'll save all that stuff for our footy podcast here.
Yeah.
So
I think the point though is there are different types of comedy and whatever.
There's your Dad's Army, and then there's Frontline.
Yeah.
Well, see,
go watch Dad's Army.
Well, just to have a really quick hot take, I think that there's enough good writing and good acting for there to be a UK Saturday Night Live. But considering our pedigree, trying to do an Australian version of Saturday Night Live, that's never happening.
Anyway.
So, certainly not officially.
Well, I mean, to make a good UK version of Saturday Night Live, you'd first have to figure out how to make a good American version of Saturday Night.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no. Every time I've tried to watch it, I bought the first 5 seasons when they came out on DVD.
They're interesting.
I've got
They're interesting.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah.
But I'm not lying back splitting my sides. I'm kind of going, that's an interesting sketch. Oh, that's a funny sketch. This is a really good cast. Let's see what they're doing now. And it's like, oh, not quite so good a cast, I see.
It's It's a good box set.
Mm-hmm. They stopped for a reason.
Yeah, so there's heaps of other letters, but believe it or not, we don't have time to go through them on the podcast, so we'll post them to our socials. Let's get to the program guide proper. So on the ABC, after Frontline, Four Corners and Media Watch, we have another episode of the Scottish BBC comedy series Atletico Partick. Now, it just so happens that this might be breaking protocol. There's another letter sort of explaining a little bit about how much of a failure this show was. It seems to have been written by a Scottish expat. Don't worry, I'm not going to do the accent. He writes, I was surprised that...
On.
Sorry?
Oh, I was going to say, go on.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yep. He writes, I was surprised that ABC had been taken in by the tricksters at BBC Scotland. Atletico Partick was a very homegrown product from the so-called comedy unit at Queen Margaret Drive, and despite a great deal of pre-publicity and a famously drunken press party, the series failed to score with critics and viewers. This was not a networked show, only us poor souls in Scotland were offered it. The first episode was shown at 8 p.m. on a Monday. Then, after a 4-month gap, the rest were broadcast at 11:30 p.m. over various weekend slots. The show is about as plausible as Scotland beating West Germany 3-2 after extra time. I think you've been sold a lemon this time, boys.
It would have sounded better with your Scottish accent.
I don't think I can do a really good Scottish accent, so thank God.
This does explain, because my husband's English, and I said to him, have you ever heard of Atletico Partick? And he said, no, he hadn't. And that does explain it because, well, they didn't get it in England. So there you go. I have no memory of ever watching it when it was on the ABC. Yep. And neither does anyone else, it seems. So, yeah, it probably was a lemon.
And, yeah, tucked away in that 9:30 slot, which does have better things going for it later in the year, but that's for another episode. On Channel 7 at 7:30, we've got Australia's Most Wanted, hosted by Roger Clemson. And then in previous weeks, we've had different programming for Sydney and Melbourne, but they both have the same repeat of a telemovie called Danielle Steele's Heartbeat, starring John Ritter, Polly Draper, and Kevin Kilner. A pregnant woman dumped by her husband because he doesn't want children becomes involved with a divorced man who misses his own family. Rated M with sexual references.
Meh.
Sounds fun.
No. All right, over to SBS. We've got the Ericsson Cup National Soccer League at 7:30. At 8:30, we've got Masterpiece, 3 Knocks on the Door. Philippe Genti's production Stowaways tells his life story through a series of surreal images. And then at 9:30, we've got an Italian comedy starring Mario Adorf and Barbara De Rossi called I Want My Cat Back. A farmer hires a prostitute to act as his wife for 1 month every year.
That sounds like a McAuliffe joke. At like, I
rated
want my...
sexual references, nudity and language.
Sounds more funny than Atletico Partick.
Yeah, or it just sounded like a McAuliffe sketch saying, hey, that's my hat. Or John Blackman, pirate.
I'd watch that. I'd watch John Blackman, pirate. Yeah. I know he's dead now, but I'd still watch it.
So
we're just waiting for Crawford's DVD to release Holiday Island.
All right, Channel 9 at 7:30, we've got Friends. It's Season 2, Episode 15, titled The One Where Ross and Rachel, You Know. And it's the first episode featuring Tom Selleck in a recurring guest role. He's involved in a storyline where Monica has a catering job for handsome Dr. Richard Burke, an ophthalmologist who is an old family friend. He and Monica are mutually smitten and later go on a date. Then at 8 o'clock, we've got Caroline in the City. Now, it's titled Caroline and the Condom, but it's essentially, according to Wikipedia, a flashback show, showing events from shortly after one of the cast was hired. The events of the episode are out of order from the first season finale and the second season premiere.
Oh, don't make me get out my box set.
No, I definitely won't. At 8:30, we've got Water Rats, Season 2, Episode 7, titled End of the Line. Goldie and Holloway investigate the death of a young girl who overdosed on amphetamines. Doesn't say whether it's next to any bodies of water, but let's just take that as a given. Then in Melbourne, we've got IMT at 9:30, and in Sydney, we've got Rugby League. Brisbane Broncos versus Canberra Raiders. Brisbane thumped Canberra 24-8. All right. And last of all, we've got Channel 10 at 7:30. We've got Healthy, Wealthy and Wise. In this week's episode, Lynn visits the circus exhibition in Sydney. Ian cooks up a Spanish favourite. Doesn't say what it is, but fuck it. Paella, let's say. Peter looks at computer racing games, and Felicity learns about the begonia.
Now I'm curious of what Ian Hewitson cooked up. Was it churros stuffed with tacos or something like that?
Yeah.
Sorry, that sounds very stereotypical.
They're Mexican.
No, I know, yeah. It sounded, as soon as I said it, I regretted it.
Spanish language.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a tortilla.
Yeah, we'll go with that, yeah.
Now, there's a bit of a change in programming at 8:30. Big Sky has been moved to 9:30 Tuesdays, and I couldn't find Medivac anywhere in the next week's programming. In its place, we've got a double episode of the British drama series Peak Practice. Jack treats a young mother who is feeling tired and drained of energy. Maybe she's not eating enough iron-rich beef.
Was it shot in black and white?
Yeah, single mum with a daughter.
Beth and Jack's relationship fails to improve. Jack has problems with a patient suffering from repetitive strain injury. And I don't know why I went up on that because there's nothing else. Anyhow, Peak Practice at 8:30. I think that's not as good as this first one. Now, spoiler alert, this is a two-parter. You would know that if you read the listing in the Green Guide, so it's definitely not going to be a surprise. But anyhow, let's get on with it.
Cool. Thank you very much, Daniel, for the program guide. And guess what? I did put out a call on our Champagne Comedy Podcast Facebook group, which you can join at any time, to see if anyone wants to do their best Mike Moore impression. And guess what? We got a sucker. I mean, we got someone who volunteered, and this is one of the best people who have been with the podcast since the very beginning. Peter Phoebe, a regular contributor, he decided to lend his golden tonsils to the podcast. So I now just got to fill this time because we've got the music going and I've already pre-edited this. So all we need to do is Peter to come in at 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, I'm Peter Phoebe. This is Frontline Season 3, Episode 5, A Hole in the Heart, Part 1, broadcast Monday, March 24, 1997.
Lovely start.
Thanks, Peter.
Yay! Round of applause. Thank you very much for that, Peter. And the synopsis of this episode, a media frenzy breaks out after Marty does a story on a young boy in need of an operation. Using every trick in the book, Prowsey battles to keep the story exclusive to Frontline. Mike is excited about playing a charity golf game as well until he finds out that he is not part of the main group. Meanwhile, Brooke drops a bombshell. That's a big synopsis, and that's directly from the DVD cover. Anyway, so it is show prep time, right? And with this, the team is trying to find a feel-good story for the less fortunate. Or as Prowsey puts it...
Just give me a nice kid with a nice deformity.
A nice deformity?
Yeah, show us that. Oh, Christ! So look at these poor bastards.
At least he's honest. Too honest.
Yeah, it does kind of look... it does kind of look like they're all, industry headshots, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, I guess in a way they would be. They're all sort of auditioning for their media role.
Have you got the clip of the one who's lost a certain percentage of the brain?
No, I don't.
Okay. Because that is quite a funny
the witty rejoinder from Marty.
Yeah, and he said, we've already got a host, which is quite funny. But yeah, in the end, they do find a nice looking kid with a nice deformity that isn't going to freak people out if they film it because it's inside.
And that isn't going to die on them.
No.
Yeah, and probably has a good success rate as well for the operation, and that is a young guy called Ashira with 2 holes in the heart from Papua New Guinea.
And did you notice that Kate was wearing a Dyke t-shirt?
Yes, so that's the play on the Nike shirt as well.
Yeah.
So that's when Trudy was on the show, she did mention Kate's sexuality, but it wasn't really, spoken about in the show. It wasn't really relevant. It still isn't, but it was interesting that they had that shirt there.
No.
Yeah.
Frontline never did the pivot to being sort of a Sex and the City style, romp through Melbourne.
That was the spin-off that never happened.
Disappointing.
I'm not sure I would have liked to have seen the Mike Moore episodes of that because, I mean, all we ever hear about Mike is he's got like a 19-year-old girlfriend or something, which is, it's a bit questionable even in 1997.
Yeah.
But don't forget, Mike was part of, he was on the front cover of the gay magazine too.
Brave magazine.
Brave, yes, So he was an icon, a gay icon.
Mm.
Anyway, Mike comes in to find out that his golf match rundown from Dom has been, he was thinking it was one thing, but it was another. He hopes he was going to play alongside Ian Baker Finch, but he ends up with Grant Dodwell.
Poor old Grant Dodwell. He's always the butt of jokes from Working Dog, isn't he?
Yeah.
I just like the way that...
Don't worry, Mike, you'll still get your head in the paper.
Oh, this again. No, you see, this is show publicity. So you don't have to bear the burden of profile, Marty. And unlike you, I'm always thinking about the show.
Mike, show.
Yeah, hang on, Prousey.
I just like the way that Mike mutters Grant Dodwell's name under his breath like he's a mortal enemy.
Yeah.
It's like the Glen Ridge as well.
Yeah. Poor Grant.
Are you doing the clips about the Marty's anti-Semitism jokes?
No. No. It's only because they were too subtle and too far spread. It's far apart. So I thought if you mention them, you can do it. But just because they'll just like side, like under the breath references.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
It was interesting that they brought it up because, I mean, it was very much the case that a lot of those sort of Australian cultural institutions were closed off to certain members of other communities until relatively recently. I mean, I know that Mike Moore goes, we've had Jewish members since the 80s. And it's like,
wow,
that's a decade ago from when this was made. That's not a long and rich history of integration.
For an almost century-old institution.
Yeah,
it's very much.
No, golf clubs were notorious for not allowing Jews to become members.
Yes, and it was just interesting that they brought that up, kind of, I guess, in a way to sort of point out again that Mike's pretty hypocritical in a lot of ways about pretty much everything as long as it suits him.
Yeah, he's very waspy, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah, it's not a big deal to him, so it's not a big deal, full stop.
Yeah.
Well, I know the purpose of this episode where Mike, his ego runs wild, but this episode really pissed me off, but I think that was the intention.
Yeah, I did notice watching this that everyone, like Prousey as well, was pretty unlikable in a few bits, and it was really, I guess the show itself varies. There's episodes where it's a bit more cuddly with the cast, and this one was really like, no, the media is pretty bad and these people are all quite happily part of an organisation that's pretty bad in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I've kind of got the feeling that this is going to just add more fuel to that Frontline isn't funny fire.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it is funny because the jokes about the golf club are really funny.
Yeah, no, it's
and satirical too. And then there are bits that are just satirical, and then there are bits that are just funny. Yeah. So it's a textured variety of jokes essentially in Frontline. It's not just gag like you would get in a sort of studio sitcom.
And plus, I'm not knowledgeable enough to know, but isn't pretty much everything about this kid taken directly from actual events? Like, I'm
yeah.
sure, I'm sure the stuff with the hat was like, even at the time, people were just like, oh, that's literally what a current affair did.
Well, the hat was Tony Bullymore. Do you remember Tony Bullymore? He was a British sailor who was,
That's
he
right,
was
the one
sailing around the world.
they
He got
rescued.
stranded off the coast, and then he was brought back to Australia by rescuers. And then I think it was Channel 7 managed to get a cap on his head before he'd even got off the rescue boat, so that none of the other networks could show the footage of him, and he became their exclusive.
Yes.
And so that's what that reference is. But I mean, A Current Affair and was always doing stories about kids who had medical problems and the hero surgeons saving them. And sometimes they would be like this kid who've come from overseas to get treatment in Australia. And, so it's a mix of things.
Yeah, and the audience is very angry when they find out that the Rotary who were paying for the entire operation are just kind of dismissed and they're just fobbed off, and you've got them calling the guy Mr. Softcock, and Prowsey's just got his feet on the chair, or I don't care about this. Just figure I'll fob them off. I'll get rid of them. Yeah. So the audience is really incensed by this point.
Oh, look, I guess by season 3 you might if you're not, when else are you going to do an episode that pisses people off?
Yep. Well, it's worked with this case.
Not funny. It's because it's true. That's why it's satire.
Well, Brooke walks in and snaps at Kate when she's asked if she's okay. So even though that's basically the second time that we notice that something's wrong, because the first time that Brooke does a bit of a reaction, we think when they're going through the file photos of the sick kids, and then she goes, "Oh, I'm going to throw up."
Yeah.
So, or I'm going to be sick, and then So, but that's the hint.
Did anybody at any point, like even watching this the very first time, was it a mystery what was going on with Brooke? Or I've watched so many movies and TV shows that basically the second they establish one element, it's like, oh, that's what it is, because now that's how it works. I don't want to give away spoilers, I guess, for a 30-year-old show, but but it's like watching it was like they're doing a pretty good job of putting in other alternative explanations, but literally if you have a female character who does this one particular thing, it's like, oh, it's because of that, and that's what sort of happened. But I just wondered if it was like it worked as a mystery, or whether people were just like, oh yeah, we know what's going on, it's just a matter of when it gets to it.
I think that I didn't realise what was going on until towards the end, like when I first watched it. But I mean, the other thing is that not every woman who gets pregnant has morning sickness as well. So
no, but it's
the Bellini of a subplot is believable.
It's plausible, but it's just like now, I guess, probably even more than back then. It's like if you have a movie and someone coughs, it's like, well, they're dead. And
yeah.
So it proves to be. Yeah. Whereas in real life, people are coughing all the time, but in a movie, coughed, they're dead. And like a woman goes up pregnant. Yeah. It's just like that's. It was and.
Daniel, don't die. Daniel's dead.
Daniel.
So like I was
that was unintentional. I'm sorry. I wasn't quite sure if I really should have muted my mic for that. I'm sorry.
No, I like that. I'm going to keep that in.
Yeah. I think, like Alison said, I didn't know. I didn't assume that when I first watched it. Okay. It could have been bulimia. It could have been pregnancy. It could have been something else. They might have just wanted to do a twist at the end, because you do see that, in the shows. It's a familiar trope of the.
She was dying of boredom.
I think also, though, Tony, your point about how if someone coughs in a film or TV show, they're going to end up dead. Yes. Like, it's slightly bad writing as well. There are so many, like, I'm just going to say Netflix shows where there's some quite cliched sort of plotting and dialogue, and that's the kind of thing I would expect to see in a show like that.
Oh, look, it's just shorthand a lot of the time. Yeah. It's really like, look, this person is going to die. If we have them suddenly die, people will be like, what? So we have to put in something that will let you know, but we can't be bothered spending, 10 minutes saying, oh,
Yeah,
I'm losing weight. It's like they cough, everyone knows, next scene's at the funeral.
Yeah, it's because they allude to the fact that they're dying of cancer, but they get hit by a bus.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's the twist, because
that would be funny.
Yes.
I'm rewatching Beverly Hills 90210, or
Sorry
actually
to
probably
hear that.
watching some of it. I'm sorry that I am, but I am. So there's one, no spoiler alerts, but this is a spoiler alert. But someone dies, but they're a really bad driver. So they keep saying, oh, you're a really bad driver, and he's like, no, I drove all the time. It's just different here. And then next minute, oh, I'm going to go for a drive while I wait for these election results because I just can't wait. And then, and then as soon as he drives out, a big garbage truck comes and knocks him out, and then the whole car catches on fire. It's like, I didn't see that coming.
Well, it's like watching movies and television now that there's a certain framing of a shot where you can have the truck come in from left or right and kill them. So whenever you see that, like someone's walking down a street and it's straight on, you're like, uh-oh, there's going to be a car come from either side and clean them up. Because it's just become, that's the way you frame those shots. Once you see that framing, it's like, oops, here we go.
Yeah, but then when you think they're about to be hit by the car, billiard table falls out of the sky.
Well, if only they were that inventive.
But when that happens, it's been written by Tom Gleisner.
Yeah.
or maybe Sean McAuliffe.
Yes.
Bigger budget than Australian television gets that.
Do you want to hear what happens the next night on Beverly Hills 90210, Kim?
Oh, yeah. Where are you up to?
Okay, so I'm just reading this directly from the Green Guide. The episode's titled The Things We Do for Love. David begins to act recklessly. Steve tells Kelly that Val is pregnant. Oh, there we go. It's a bit of a week for pregnancies.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers, bloody hell.
I'm up to that season.
Come on. If
I'm
you
like,
haven't watched this episode of Frontline, come on.
Don't worry, Kim already said about that.
I know everybody's. Well, I'm spoiling it. Sorry.
If you don't want to know the result, look away now.
Yes.
He's the man who spoiled everything for you.
Spoiler man. Tells whatever the spoiler thing is.
Honestly, this would have to be a bloody weird listen. Listening to this without watching the requisite episode of Frontline.
Yeah. Well, what if
wait
there
for-
are
wait for
people who
part
are
two.
listening to this and have no idea what we're talking about?
I don't know where we're up to now. No idea.
I do. Come on.
All right, just quickly.
Bring it
Donna
back,
becomes
guys.
suspicious of Cliff. Brandon and Tracy debate the question of love on a television show.
Okay,
See, that's further along where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm at the bit where Valerie's only just arriving into the picture and she's getting with Dylan behind Steve's back, and yeah, that's where I'm up to.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, and you can listen to
let's get
that.
back to
Move
Frontline.
on.
Yeah. All right. Now, Prowsey tries. Prowsey tries to sell the story of the 4-year-old Ashira from New Guinea to Mike. Mike is hesitant due to the last time they did a story like this with Siamese twins.
Siamese twins.
That was an absolute disaster, Prowse.
How were we to know one of them was going to cark it?
Oh, I don't care about the death. I mean, all the shows have gone to air. I'm talking about the negative press. I was accused of shamelessly exploiting kids. Now, that hurt.
Oh, come on, Mike. A couple of soft cock articles. You're ready to turn your back on helpless this Ashira kid?
Turning my back. I'm just saying, Rotary bring these kids down. They don't need us.
We're going to help them.
We're going to pay for the operation?
Yes.
Don't lie to me, Prowsey.
All right, no. But we're going to help them.
Yeah, but you do all the work, and then you get a bucketing from the press. At the end of the day, where is the game?
The kid lives.
Oh, yeah, there's that. All right, do it. Okay, Marty or Brooke. I've been burnt. I'm out.
Fine.
And the Siamese twin died because they coughed.
The wrong kid coughed.
Meanwhile, Brooke is on the phone having a vague chat with someone while Marty is eavesdropping.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Are you
she,
okay?
She obviously receives some news at that point, and because she's in the office, she tries not to react, but it's clear it's significant, whatever she's just heard.
But yeah, even after getting a bit of, even Marty says, that he'd hate it to be interpreted as him caring about her. But after being asked, "Are you okay?" she paints on a smile and says, "Fine." But it's not fine, is it?
No.
Foreshadowing.
Emma interrupts Mike and Prowsey's very important meeting, and until Mike runs away for the phone call from the golf club, to tell Prowsey though that since Rotary are paying for the entire flights, accommodation, and surgery, they want as much media exposure as possible. But Prowsey is not having it.
Well, when's the kid arrive?
Monday.
All right, let's meet him at the airport.
Okay. Guy said there'll probably be no one else there anyway.
Yeah, good.
One for Brooke?
No. She's a bit thingy at the moment.
Well, actually, I wanted to...
Oh, yes. It's that time of the month, is it?
What?
Well, is it?
How would I know?
Oh, come on. You chicks talk about that stuff all the time, don't you?
You have absolutely no understanding of women, do you?
My third wife would disagree with that.
Polar opposite to what happened last
apparently
episode.
all women are talking about their periods all of the time.
Well, Kim, I mean, you and I exchange a lot of messages on this topic, don't we?
Constantly emailing and just saying, what time of the month is it? Exactly.
I think the only time I've ever discussed my period with another woman is when I was in an emergency situation and needed a tampon from someone. And even then, it's kind of a bit embarrassing to say, have you got any tampons in your bag? Right? You know? This was before the days when workplaces would very helpfully leave out a bunch of tampons in the ladies' toilets.
That's all right. Well, Daniel, Tony, and I always talk about our time of the year. So it's...
Okay.
We're in the same boat. So
yeah, you talk about, I don't know, shaving every day or whatever you guys get up to in your guy world.
Burping and farting mostly.
The three of you have got beards, so probably not a lot of shaving talk, I'm guessing.
It probably is only once a year then.
Yes, a lot of hair on the lower half of our heads, and not so much hair on the top half.
That's a stylistic choice, though, guys, isn't it? Yeah.
It's either that or our genitals. I think we mostly talk about.
And we're out.
Yeah, done.
And scene.
Yeah. Well, Mike's managed to convince the club president to team up with Ian Baker Finch, only to discover he's providing a bunch of free Frontline caps for the charity auction to build a new clubhouse. But he's instructed Dom to sign his name on those hats.
Oh.
Yeah.
Worth a fortune.
I want a Frontline cap now.
Oh, definitely.
Working dog shop, make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
But, it has to be embroidered, though.
Yeah, please, embroidered.
The original one I bought in the 90s was embroidered.
Hey, if I bump into him again and complain about the font, I should have brought up the embroidery on the hat.
Give you a list, Matt. Next time you bump into them, you can go, an item 12.
All right. Dear
These are
Michael
our
Hirsch,
demands.
this is letters to Green Guy. It'll be letters to Working Dog.
We just need to pick it outside their office until they give in to all of our demands.
The fans want Funky Squad flares. Hurry up.
Make it happen. Trish walks in to discover that Mike's not interested in the photo shoot with Ashira.
Yeah, well, she doesn't use those words. There's a reference to the colour of the kid's skin.
But Prowsey reveals that Marty will be filling in on where Mike would be on that spot. But Brooke wants to chat to Trish privately while Mike's practicing his golf swing.
The most common mistake of all amateur golfers is to grip the club too tightly. That's my problem. It should be loose enough. Right. Loosey-goosey, loosey-goosey. Keep it loose. Keep it loose.
What about the weekend? I can't, though. Next week?
Shit. My grip's too loose.
Well, that goes to budget.
Yeah, that's funny. That is funny. Like he's so loose on the grip that the golf club goes through the window.
I was actually impressed that they actually smashed a window.
Yeah.
Usually when you hear the sound effect off camera, when they pan over, they've, the window's just not there anymore. They've, taken it out.
Well, I'm guessing they would have had to do that in one take.
Yes.
But you know why? Because he had the Golf-O-Matic.
No.
Yeah.
Michael Golfomatic Hirsch. You
Yeah,
think,
it's threw him through the window.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Friday night, funny man Elliot Rhodes is performing something.
Just cause I played with a stoop, they called me a total Fruit Loop. But then I flew the coop, and a heap of awards I did scoop. Oh, Pa, forgive me, oh, Ma, forgive me, Oscar, please give me.
Mike, quick,
Yeah, hang on.
sit.
Oh, jeez. That belongs to one of the cameras.
Right.
Was it funny? Not again. He's done it again, and he does it week after week. Well done, Elliot. That's a lovely take on him.
All right,
His name's
I
David
worked out.
Helfgott, you nincompoop.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It was a
That's what
Shine
it was.
parody, right?
Yeah.
Because Shine was up for the Oscar at that
And
time.
he was playing the piano so well.
I've seen the movie and would not have got that in a million years.
Well, because he's talking about, like, listen to the part at the very beginning, right?
Just cause I played with a stoop.
Scoop. So he's leaning over.
Yeah.
But that's 95%. That's, Jerry Lee Lewis playing the piano.
But not like leaning over, but like he's doing the movements, like the rocking back and forth, which is what David Helfgott.
It's a slightly too detailed parody, which sort of tips it into being a bit cruel. But I suppose at the time,
and
I don't know.
Shine had just come out in,
Shine had just come
1996. Yeah,
you could certainly.
It's not a bad parody, which means that it's a bit uncharacteristic for our Friday Night Funny Man.
Yeah, it's too good. Actually, it's too intellectual. Like the lyrics are really quite clever if you listen to them.
Well, I had to watch it. When I watched it again to make notes on it, I watched it with subtitles so I can get the audio grabs and everything else. And that's where I went, oh, there's more to this. What is this? And it wasn't until doing that I realised, okay, yeah, I think that is Shine, David Helfgott reference.
Well, I assumed that it was Elliot Rhodes was actually a fan of the film and knew about, the protagonist and that beforehand. So this was, a passion project for him, whereas most of the other ones he punches out are just like, oh yeah, what's on the front page of the paper on Thursday? Yeah, I can make that rhyme. Boat and float will rhyme. There we go.
Well, hold on, let me just quickly look up what movies from 1996. Oh, say it could have been Mars Attacks, Cable Guy, The Crow. Down Periscope or Biodome. That's what it was all about. Biodome.
Yeah, but
Could have been about Great Balls of Fire if Tony has anything to do with it.
or it could have been
Minogue Biodome. There's an Australian connection.
Yeah, or it also could have been Paul Hogan's Flipper.
Oh dear, I've seen that.
Yeah, I think we've all seen that one.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Shine came out August 96, right?
Yeah.
So, by the time this episode goes out, it's no longer topical, except it is topical because it's up for an Oscar in 1997. So that's the excuse for it.
Mike teases the Ashira story with Marty, which has a bit of a misleading introduction to it, using the Kokoda Trail as
It's a bit of a long bow drawn here, but, whatever.
Yeah.
It's current affairs.
Yeah.
If it's a cliche, they're going to do it.
And presumably this is the intro that turns everyone around on the story because, beforehand, nobody seems interested. And then suddenly it's the big story of the day. And
he's the grandchild of a what are they, Fuzzy Wuzzy Angel? Oh, God, I hate that.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who saved Australian soldiers on the Kokoda Trail. Oh.
Let's not get into World War II again. We know where that leads.
No.
Don't
World
mention
War
the
II's
war.
banned on this podcast.
But it's available to talk about on the footy. Yeah, anyway.
It's also banned in various Melbourne golf clubs up until the 80s, but anyway. Well, the Germans were probably allowed to join. But
Don't mention the war.
Yeah,
don't mention the victims of the war. Yeah.
The next day, Kate, Emma and Shelley are gossiping over watching Brooke through the kitchen window.
Look, she's eating. Yeah, 5 minutes later she'll be in the dunny.
I heard her throwing up before.
It's bulimia, I'm sure of it.
Sure of what?
Nothing.
You were talking about Brooke. Is there something wrong?
No.
Em, you know I can tell when you're lying to me.
You think she may have bulimia?
Oh, my God. That's only in Africa, isn't it?
Mike bulimia?
What am I thinking of?
Ebola. The Ebola virus?
Yeah, that's the one. Oh, spooky stuff. Is this one contagious?
No, it's an eating disorder. You eat and then you throw up so you don't have to put on any weight.
Oh, it's that weight. We did stories on that, didn't we? Yeah. I'll go and have a word with her.
No,
We've done stories on it. I think I know what I'm talking about. Brooke, can I have a word?
It's not going to end well.
I think it's really, it's understated how hilarious the line, Em, I can tell when you're lying to me is.
Yeah, another man who doesn't understand women, so... at least Mike did actually want to go and talk to her about it.
I was just going to say, it's the second time this episode that Mike said, I can tell when, don't be lying to me. So he seems to have sussed out that he's living in a house of lies, just not well enough to, prevent everyone else from lying to him constantly.
Yeah.
I suppose you believe what you want to believe, don't you?
Prowsey gives Muddy his rundown on picking up Ashira from the airport and to frame the guy from Rotary out as well. Just keep him out of shot. Meanwhile, Brooke runs out of Mike's office crying, where Mike has said some very insensitive things about her weight. What a prick.
Yeah, he says that she looks good when she's put on a bit or something, which, that's going to get you a punch in the face. Yeah, that's always a good thing to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mike has no idea. Completely clueless.
Well, Marty and Stu and Jace are at the airport now, and Marty is busting for a smoke.
Must be somewhere you can have a smoke in this place. What about the disabled toilets?
You're not disabled.
Might have lung cancer.
Mate, just go outside.
What, and Miss Jungle Boy's arrival? Prowsey'd love that.
Air New Guinea regrets to announce the arrival of Flight 37 has been delayed by 1 hour.
Shit. Haven't even met him. I'm already starting to hate this kid.
We'd only met a few moments before, but already I'd found a very special friend. He'd come all the way from New Guinea to meet this man, medical miracle worker Dr. Ray Kennedy.
The little boy has a condition known as ventricular septal defect. In simple terms, it means there's a hole in his heart. Several holes.
The surgeon guy's good.
He's not actually the surgeon.
Hey?
Had to dick him.
What, you dicked their miracle worker?
Mate, our miracle worker had a speech impediment.
Who's this guy?
He's one of the team, part of that whole miracle worker thing.
So there's a couple of things about this. First of all, Marty very freely admitting that he hates children. I think we might have a clip there, Matt, about how well he gets along with kids.
What do your friends think about you playing the piano? You're looking forward to going to university? I believe your favourite composer is Chopin.
I want to go to the toilet.
Head first.
That's from the very first episode, isn't it?
Yeah. He certainly looks very uncomfortable around Ashira, possibly because he's busting for a smoke. But
and the second thing is that we've got a little bit of an edit, so it's time for us to...
Edit it there.
Gotta love this segment.
This is the way the Frontline story goes on the DVD version.
Who's this guy?
He's one of the team, part of that whole miracle worker thing.
But a life-threatening disease wasn't going to stop this little traveller from coming face to face with a furry friend. For a few brief moments, it's time to forget.
85.
Is soon to face his biggest challenge yet.
Martin D'Stasio there with a very brave little boy.
So we've got every current affairs cliche under the sun, plus some sort of, I think that might be Celine Dion underneath. I'm not quite sure. I don't recognise the song from being thrashed to death on radio at the time. And this is what it sounds like if you watch the episode on iView.
Who's this guy?
He's one of the team, part of that whole miracle worker thing.
Oh.
No voiceover either.
Oh.
Martin D'Stasio there with a very brave little boy.
It sounds like that they didn't have the multi-track for it.
No, so you lose all of those cliches and Emma counting down in 5.
Well, you lose the very kind of 90s sound of that Celine Dion-esque music.
Yes.
I mean, it's a very small thing, but it's a shame.
Yeah, it certainly seemed to have ruined my experience of watching this because I watched the iView version and not having that countdown there. No,
this is why you keep your DVDs.
Yes, that's
I have
why.
my DVDs somewhere, but I don't know.
Physical media for the win.
Yes.
Yes.
Wouldn't have had that 90s vibe.
Yeah.
Emma tells Mike that Ashira's story is going to be big, but Mike's still doubtful until the next day the office is filled with gifts, like presents galore, balloons, chocolates, everything. And Prowsey receives a complaint from Rotary saying that they weren't mentioned. It was an oversight, though. So, you know. So he'll end up somehow sweet-talking him into coming around. And Mike walks in to see all the gifts.
Em? What? Mike wants to know why Marty's doing the radio.
They asked for Marty.
Why?
Well, they're focusing on the Ashira story.
Well, they shouldn't be.
Apparently they've had a lot of calls.
But couldn't that be done through me?
Well, it is Marty's story.
Okay, all right. Okay, we might need some perspective around here. Who's at the centre of all this?
Ashira.
No, who's at the centre of the whole deal?
Ashira.
Right, yeah, you do need perspective, okay? I'm sitting at the desk. You can't get more central than that.
Yeah, see, Mike is, he gets pissed off immediately when he realises that he's made the wrong decision. You know, he said, give it to Brooke or Marty, and now he's jealous, isn't he? He's trying to get himself back into the story. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the whole point, to a large extent, the whole point of Mike is just pay attention to me. I am the most important thing that is going on in any room or television where I am on. So, yeah, the second that someone else is getting a bit of the spotlight, his hackles go up.
The team does some housekeeping while Mike is making a cappuccino in the heart of it. Yeah, well, and Prowsey is determined to make it all about Frontline exclusive and have Marty all over it. Later on, though, Prowsey gets on the phone to soften Rotary, while Emma does have concern.
We're really worried about Brooke.
Yes, she phoned in sick.
We think she may have bulimia.
Ah, that's no good.
Prowsey, bulimia?
Yeah, the chick thing.
Did you, have you said anything to her lately about her weight?
Yeah.
What?
I told her to lose a few pounds.
I'm sorry?
Well, she was porking up. Nobody likes a fat reporter.
Well, have you ever said anything like that to Marty?
Oh, fire.
Well, Marty's not exactly anorexic, you know.
Look, Em, I really haven't got time for this chicky blokey thing, right? Just send her a note, tell her I'm sorry, throw in a box of chocolates, pinch one of the kids.
Prowsey, this could be serious.
Look, I'll sort it out later. We've all got a lot of work to do, Em.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. It's a you know how last episode that, you know, him and Emma were getting along somewhat okay, like loosey-goosey type thing when they're talking about the wire underneath the bra, and now, yeah, he's just the arsehole again.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of mood swings, Prowsey. He's very easily becomes angry, as we see in a scene that's coming up quite soon. But Emma's got a fairly good point, and it's interesting, you know, you reflect on what female TV reporters had to look like in the 90s. They had to be good looking and they had to be thin and very often blonde as well. And it's interesting that Brooke's a brunette. But anyway, she maintains her position because she keeps herself looking young and slim. Whereas these days on television, you get female reporters of all sorts of sizes. And that's a good thing to see. There's a lot more body positivity, and there isn't this requirement to be a stick figure anymore. So, you know, I think we've progressed well in that department.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's sort of interesting. I felt watching this scene that it was a moment where the working dog had a point they wanted to make, and Prowsey was the character they were going to use to make it. Whereas realistically, you would think Prowsey, as, you know, the executive producer of the show, would palm off, you know, that kind of business to someone else to be the bad guy, because his job in part is to, you know, maintain the whole show. He can't be sort of going, oh, well, who cares what's happening with Brooke? It's chick business. when it's like chick business is your business when you're running a show that has a female reporter. You've got to, you should look caring, and you should have an underling who can be the one who runs around telling everyone all the bad news, so you can blame them and they eventually get thrown under the bus when the bad news has gone on too long. But I mean, that's the thing with Frontline. You've got a show that's really only got, 2 or 3 behind the scenes cast members, and you can't sort of split the roles up too much, and you can't have Emma doing that sort of thing. So it's sort of down to Prowsey, even though thinking about it's like, well, yeah, Prowsey would probably think that behind scenes, but he wouldn't say it to his female staff because there's so many of them. Half the show is women. He can't be too awful to them all the time.
No.
He's certainly the most extreme executive producer they've had, because the first 2 were not. I mean, they were a bit misogynist and stuff, but not to the extent that Prowsey is. And Prowsey is a really interesting character because he is so extreme and the mood swings and he's clearly quite a drinker and well, my theory, which I will keep putting out there, is that he enjoys a bit of a sniff of the cocaine every so often, and his mood changes as a result thereof. But that allows him to be really horrible like this. Yeah. And for them to do a bulimia story. And bulimia, of course, is topical at this time as well because Princess Diana had it. Yeah. And a lot of people were talking about it.
Honestly, out of the 3 producers they have, I always think of Prowsey as basically being a commercial radio producer that they've just put in a television slot.
He's the bloke with the cowdy boots and the samurai sword, isn't he?
And the Art of War book and...
It's just his attitude, like... Commercial radio is just an absolute nightmare as far as sexism goes in a lot of ways. And it just feels like Prowsey would just be, sure, of course, just go ahead. Whereas on television, there's at least a surface veneer in the 90s of being a little bit less horrible up front.
I don't know. I mean, given the sort of stories that have happened in the past 2 years about what's happened at Channel 7, it doesn't really feel to me like this is inaccurate in any way.
True.
Well, Mike's practicing his putting in Jeff's office until he's making sure that he's
Jeff's office doesn't have a window as far as we're aware, so that's probably a good move.
Yeah.
You're in the television though.
With Foxtel on the TV, until he sees the show rundown on the desk with the Shearer on top of that list.
Do you reckon Marty's right for this story?
Oh, he's perfect. He comes across as warm, understanding.
Jeff, sorry, stop. In terms of the whole package, I mean, in terms of, anchoring and pulling in all the disparate elements, do you think he's right for the job?
Perfect.
What? I don't think Marty's right for the story.
Why?
He lacks warmth, understanding, and quite frankly, I don't think he's used to the publicity. I think his ego could easily get out of control.
And right there, standing in between the TV Week and other magazines.
4 magazine covers of his face are behind him when he says that Marty's ego's out of control.
It was so perfect.
I mean, Frontline's not funny, as we've established through various Green Guide letters.
Yeah.
So they are Who Weekly, HQ, TV Week, and BRW. So he's on the front of those.
BRW, wow. Good get.
It's because of all those McCubbins he owns.
Yeah, and the wine, the Penfolds Grange Hermitage and the mansion.
And the Brett Whiteleys,
And the cars, the multiple cars.
Yep.
And the country house.
And the 19-year-old girlfriend.
And the 19-year-old girlfriend.
So Mike chats to Prowsey to get his way into taking over the story, which Prowsey has to break it to Marty, the bad news. And but Marty will still tag along.
What if I move this? Hey, can we get rid of these bloody golf clubs?
Yeah, we just put him in the limo.
Hang on, Marty. Whoa. One captain. Leave him, thanks, Stu.
Yeah, but Mike, hang on, look.
I'm going straight to the course after the story, all right?
What's this?
Leave them. Don't worry. They're for the golf club. It's all charity. Hey. Get back, you little... That's not yours, all right? put them in the limo too, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, let's get the show on the road. This is the arrival at the, what's the name of the hospital?
Royal Children's.
Okay, the arrival at the Royal Children's. Stu, you and Jace, you go ahead and film me arriving with the boy and Mr.
Jonah.
Mr. Jonah.
What about me?
Who are you?
I'm from Rotary.
Oh, yeah.
Your executive producer assured me I could explain Rotary's role.
Oh, good, great. Yeah, the more you can tell us,
Mike,
the better.
can I
We'll do
make
an
a
interview. We'll
suggestion?
do one captain, thanks, Marty. You and Stu and Jace go ahead and film me arriving with them. All right? Let's action.
That
Let's go
far
into the
away
limo.
from throttling him.
One captain.
What's the name of the kid again?
Ashira.
Ashira. And what's wrong?
He's got the sniffles.
You know what? When I first watched the episode, I thought it was Alf Camilleri doing a cameo as the limo driver, but it wasn't.
No. It does look like him.
Yeah. So the double take, watching this second time, I'm like, yeah, that's not him. No. Yeah. It's too tall for one thing.
Yeah, there's so much going on in this scene. And I would say that this is firmly in the Frontline is funny category, I think.
Yeah, when he snatches the hat off Ashira.
Off Ashira, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Anyway, so Brooke gets her chat with Trish eventually. Well, kind of.
Brooke, I thought you were sick. Trish, can we talk? Of course, Kenda. You okay? Oh. Sorry.
This is all a bit tricky, actually. I've got a bit of a problem. I thought that maybe it's...
There. And let's do that. Go ahead.
I couldn't really talk to the other girls in the office, and I thought maybe you'd understand.
You're right, Trish. Sitting here trying to get through on the... Brooke, what's up?
Yeah.
A big announcement.
Without Trish's reception or person, assistant or whoever it was, trying to get through on the phone, I actually thought it was probably John Blackman from Telecom Mobile Net trying to call up all the time.
What, going through all of Trish's multiple phones?
Yeah, all the Ericssons.
Yeah, I had one of those about that era, I think.
Same here.
Yeah, you had to like flip down a little thing to talk.
Oh, and you could actually, with those Ericssons too, with certain models...
And an aerial that pulled out.
You could screw off the antenna and put a flashy one on as well.
Ooh. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How exciting.
Yeah.
It's like a kid's push bike with the big flag on the back. You could have
It's like a spokey dope for a phone.
Yeah. You know, people have those dangly things off your iPhone now. Little chains.
Yeah, I see them.
You could always clip those multiple Ericssons on your belt next to the pager.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, it's like a tool belt for wankers.
The wanker rollers, yeah. Well, in front of the hospital now, Marty waits for Ashira to turn up, realising that there's now a problem with the media circus there, which he ends up telling Prousey the bad news.
Shit! I'll get back to you, Marty.
What?
Pricks. Nobody wanted to go near this thing yesterday.
Crowd at the hospital?
Oh, a multitude.
Well, is there a back door?
No.
Well, can we, put it like a jumper over the kid's
Oh,
face?
come on. The kid's not a criminal.
All right.
Oh, look, this boy belongs to us, Em. I don't want anyone else taking a piece of him. Let's cancel the operation.
Prousey!
Oh, look, delay it. Let's change hospitals.
No, the kid is booked in at that hospital.
I stuffed the kid!
Prousey, we have got to take him in.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Uh-huh. Jason's got a couple of ideas.
Wow, Prousey really getting into Mad King territory.
Yeah, we almost lost another window, didn't we?
Yeah. Nearly. Yeah.
Even the captions.
Just listen to me, Barry. I'll get back to you, Barry.
I was going to mention that reference. Thank you. I wasn't sure if anyone's going to get that. Barry. Yep. Now I feel like a yo-go.
I was just impressed that the Royal Children's Hospital only has one entrance.
Yeah, that's clearly not the Royal Melbourne Children's Hospital, is it?
No.
Well, it's one of two because there's two hospitals thanked in the credits: the Freemasons Hospital and the Mercy Hospital.
Well, the Freemasons one is like a small joint near Parliament House in Victoria.
I'm guessing it's a private one.
Yeah, it's a private one. It's very fancy if you look at it now.
Judging by the name.
But Mike has an issue with some back doors, though, because he tends to get punched if he goes through them or opens the back door. So Mike goes to wheel in Ashira into the hospital. So he's sitting in a wheelchair. He can walk, though, but I'll take him in a wheelchair. But making sure that the dad and the Rotary rep stay well behind. As they approach the hospital entrance, none of the media can film Ashira as he is wearing a particular hat.
Bloody Mike Moore's in shot.
Well, frame him out. No point.
You bastards. Right, guys, I'm filming.
You bastards.
How are we all? Film away. I want that cat back at the end of the day.
Mate, we did it.
Fellas, battle's just begun.
Yes. Wearing a Frontline hat.
So...
Yeah. Well, nowadays...
Yeah, and as we mentioned, a very overt reference to Tony Bullimore.
Yes.
Yeah. Nowadays, you can just easily edit out the cap and just use AI to fill in the gaps and make it look like there's no hat there at all.
Yeah. Well, it's what they do now,
do that
isn't
blurry
it?
pixelation kind of thing.
Or just put like a prop, exclusive to Channel 9 across it or something like that.
Yeah,
just some
with Bullymore, they had to really frame in on his face, didn't they? So you basically couldn't see anything much. It looked really stupid.
Yeah, so this isn't actually from his rescue in 1997. This is when he returned to Perth in 2006 and crashed into a jetty.
An abrupt end for Tony Bullimore's Indian Ocean crossing in Albany this morning.
But as made famous on Get This, which is the only reason I played it.
And he's dead now.
Bullymore?
Yeah, passed away in 2018 of stomach cancer. Yeah.
Oh, Varley. Tony.
Yeah, he coughed. So that's how we're writing people off now. If you cough, you're gone.
Well, that's great news for me because I've had a cold all week, so I won't be here for the second episode.
No part two for you.
Well, we'll get the sweet mate tombstone cut ready for you.
Okay, it's how I want to be remembered. Yeah.
Well, back in Trish.
Oh God, I'll start coughing again now.
No, I'm coughing.
We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die.
Hey, I've been killing people off with this podcast, so it looks like I'm about to go. Oh, jeez. Back in Trisha's office now, with all her mobile phones off and her desk phone off the receiver, Brooke ends up revealing that she's
pregnant.
Oh, there we go.
Spoiler alert.
Bombshell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, basically, it's Brooke saying I'm pregnant, and it just cuts to black. To be continued. Big Frontline theme. Play the credits. But I think it would have done a lot better if they'd taken a leaf from a British soap.
Now, Brooke, are you all right?
Not really.
Oh, my God. You're leaving.
I hope not. I'm pregnant.
Of course.
Nice. I was waiting for the whole dun dun
I was
dun
waiting for the
dun
ding,
dun
ding,
dun
ding,
dun.
ding, ding.
That was
I could just,
So there you go.
Turn on BBC iPlayer and watch it, but nah.
I was hoping for the Law and Order. Dun dun.
Yeah. Oh well, that with the to be continued.
On that bombshell.
Yes.
So let's see what happens in part 2 of this episode. So anyway, well, goodness gracious, we're on time. And that concludes Frontline Season 3, Episode 5, and the Champagne Comedy Podcast, Episode 71.
I could always pad out the time with more Green Guide letters if you like.
Yeah, why not? Squeeze one in.
Hang on. Are we not going to go through the credits because there is someone kind of interesting in the credits?
Oh, I just gave up after it said to be
this
continued.
Is one I might have overlooked.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Thanked in the credits is someone called Christopher Ullman, who of course is an ABC reporter, is he not?
Yeah. Oh, so he's probably the one who said, "You bastards."
Formerly ABC and also formerly Channel 9, I think.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that Christopher, or now Chris as he's known, Ullman, is part of the media scrum outside the hospital. Well, yeah. I mean, scum, it's just an R, isn't it? But yes.
Yeah. Scum.
Yeah, scum press. Yeah. Scum tabloid press.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So
I couldn't. I personally tried to spot him in the crowd and I couldn't. But anyway, he is thanked for some reason. So write in if you have managed to identify him in the scrum.
Or Chris Ullman, you can write in and see if you can identify yourself in that episode.
Yeah.
And you can.
Yeah, hopefully it's the Christopher Ullman and not a Christopher Ullman.
Yeah. Like,
Matt, I think you need to get in touch with Chris Ullman and hopefully he won't dado you.
Oh, yeah. And we'll see if he's in part 2 and then, maybe you can get him in for that. Anyway, feel free to email, though, champagnelateshow@gmail.com. Also, check out this episode's show notes for our socials. And on Facebook, search for Champagne Comedy Podcast Group. And also, don't forget to buymeacoffee.com/TLS Champagne Pod. You know what, Daniel? Read one letter from the Green Guide. Go on. Go on, just one. And then we can give ourselves an early mark.
Yeah, all right. And it's a pretty short one too, but I think it kind of has a weird point.
Is it that short? It says, Frontline is not funny, period. Signed.
No, it goes like this. Thank you, R.F. Winston of Rainbow Flat, whose letter this person's responding to. I wholeheartedly endorse your comments on Frontline. Obviously, this is a completely unsuccessful attempt to copy Drop the Dead Donkey, which is satire at its best, and Frontline fails dismally to come anywhere near it. I, too, cannot understand the rave reviews and find it not only difficult to understand, but totally lacking in humour. G. Childs, Lane Cove.
Oh, God. Hello.
Now, Drop the Dead Donkey is pretty much a workplace sitcom with topical references written.
Yeah, also the topical references were not, well, by the time we saw them in Australia, were not only 2 weeks old, but also quite specific to Britain. And so I used to find some of them quite difficult to understand.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe this particular person kept up with the news from Britain, but
this person probably found it as funny as Birds of a Feather. Like they probably outranked Frontline or something like that.
What you'd really hope is each week in the Green Guide, someone else would send in a letter saying, I totally agree, Frontline is clearly ripping off, and then just listing increasingly unlikely sitcoms. And, Frontline is just a clear do-over of Mr. Ed. What are they trying to pull?
Mr. Ed.
They're ripping off the Canadian show The Newsroom, despite the fact that The Newsroom premiered after Frontline.
Yeah. They're ripping off Newlyweds, even though it's got nothing to do with the show. They're ripping off Newlyweds. Or
bring
anything
back Bob Morrison.
Yay! Bring back anything by Ian McFadgen.
I can't believe this show is ripping off I Love Lucy by also being a half-hour comedy.
Yeah.
No other comparisons, just the format.
They are ripping off Alan Jones Live.
Who wasn't in the 90s?
Yeah, I'm not touching that one.
Bring back Hinge.
Oh, God.
Poor choice of
Alan
words
Jones
there.
hadn't touched that one.
Yeah. It's one of the few things he didn't.
Allegedly. Is it still in allegedly territory?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Come at us.
Send him
whatever.
down.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Alison, Daniel, Kim, and Tony. I better wrap this up. And also, special
join us in 2 weeks to find out how all of the cliffhangers resolve themselves.
If we're still here.
I was really surprised before we go that they didn't make more of a thing of who is the father of the baby. Like,
maybe we get that in episode
Spoiler alert!
2.
I actually have not watched part 2 at all. Like everything from here onwards, I've never watched. So this is going to be all fresh to me.
How are you running a podcast
You've
about
never
a
watched
show
ever.
you've never watched? For all you know, it goes off the rails entirely.
Well, I don't know.
Anarchy, man.
I don't know. No, it's just at this time.
Goes off the rails. That implies that they were on at some point.
I just assume every episode without me is a smooth running operation that sounds.
Actually, No, to be honest, with you being on it, it has been a smooth operation. So,
Oh, good Lord, no! Don't.
Oh,
tell
it's
me
much looser and worse when you're not here.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're like you like keep us on track, you know.
Oh,
Yeah, you actually
that's-
analyse things and have good insights.
Oh, God. Let's get this done. Alison, Daniel, Kim, Tony, thank you so much for coming on. It's also special intro announcer, Peter Phoebe. Thank you again. And if you want to be part of that intro too, we've only got a few episodes left for that. So email us champagnelateshow@gmail.com and I'll give you the script and so forth. So it'll be pretty straightforward. And thank you to you, the listener. I'm Matt. Thanks for listening. Catch you next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Champagne Comedy Podcast, created by fans for the fans. For more information on this podcast, please visit champagnecomedy.com. Produced by Matt Fulton Productions, mattfulton.com.au.
Shit.